Okay, so let's get started today. I'm sorry for the delays. I have a pretty bad cold I've been fighting that has a really weird origin story. Um, Last Friday or Thursday, I forget, I got poison ivy on my face, which it's Tuesday today, and I've been using this cream that speeds up the healing process. So for those who are like intrigued by the medicine, as I am, medicine in general, it like speeds up the scabbing. So my whole face just feels so stiff, and it's right around my mouth too. I washed my hands really quickly after whatever it is that I cleaned up for the deck. I told you guys we're working on the backyard, and that's why I wasn't there Thursday. And somehow I picked up some poison ivy and brushed some hair out of my mouth or my face while working, bending down and all that. And I ended up getting a bunch of ivy on my mouth, and it caused this unbelievable swelling. My whole lip was just a baseball, and my lower jaw was swollen, half my face was swollen, my eyes were swollen for a little while. I felt like this puffiness. And now, like yesterday while I was doing classes, just private sessions, I started to get really tired. I don't know what it is, and it came with fevers too. I must have ingested the ivy somehow, because that's why it would come with a fever. And then the fever turned into a really bad cold or flu or something. I have had the worst 5 or 6 days in a long time. It was just a really bad experience. And I've just been like, sleep has been difficult, and then it got really cold in New York out of nowhere. It was just like summer, and then somebody turned on the autumn switch, and now it's just fucking average 40s at night from average 70s at night. It was really weird. Global warming or whatever it is. So I am still recovering from that flu. I didn't want to do classes today, but I did. I want to do it. Last time I skipped critique hour, I got ivy on my face. It was like instant karma. I feel pretty weak, but I feel like some art talk might give me this self-esteem boost. I've been feeling like the most unlucky piece of shit in the universe. I don't know who's making love to a weed whacker outside, but I'm sorry if you guys can hear that. All right, so let's get started with some announcements. So the first announcement is, if you guys have any kind of questions about how to submit your work for Critique Hour, go to Istebrak.com and click on the little Reddit icon up here. That'll take you to our Reddit. Soon, sometime by the end of the week, hopefully I've already started writing it, I will upload the October Halloween challenge. It's so much fun. Every year this month, this season comes around, it's just the most fun time to start doing challenges. We had our Santa challenge last year. Do you guys remember that? And then before that, I think we did Creepy Creatures, or did we do the Harvest Goddess? And the month before that, I don't know when we did the bioluminescent characters challenge. You guys remember that? I feel like community challenges are just like the best part about the community. I missed writing about them. I missed the excitement. I missed seeing all the submissions. And I've been looking at the submissions for the current challenge, the book cover of the snake come to life out of a painting. If you haven't read it, it's up here on the Reddit community. Summer 2020 Design Challenge. And the submissions already are just looking phenomenal. There was a cute one that was like Danger Noodle Snick or something. It was so cute. This one right here, Danger Noodle 2. I really laughed my ass off at this one. But I cannot wait to see what you guys post. Like, look at this one. Fuck, that's so good. I love the colors. I love the orange eyes. Like, I can't wait to just, post all of these up and just go through them. It is the most fun when we do a critique hour for the challenges. It really brings out all these creative avenues that I would never have thought you know, on my own, and just being able to see look into another artist's mind and the way they interpret stuff, and the culmination of our tastes and our experiences and the media we've ingested, and the result of that the interpretation is the result of all of that. I can't wait to see what you guys submit. I've always loved the idea of like a super lush abandoned greenhouse or library or something. Found a picture yesterday of that, not sure where it went. Kyle, if you could just find it for me and give it to me real quick on Discord. But yeah, it's I think I found it. 1 second. No, I lost it. But that's kind of what I was envisioning. I'll find it for you in a second. I'm sure Kyle will give it to me. But yeah, I really encourage you guys to join the community and submit stuff for the challenges. There's no minimum skill. You can join. You can do whatever you want. If it's still critiquable, if it's something finished that I can critique, we can build off of it. So here, pinned at the top, pinned by moderator. Thank you, Finn. Open original. Is it cropped? But yeah, it's right here. Really awesome reference if you guys want to screenshot this for anyone who's currently rendering their abandoned library. This is an awesome kind of light environment as well, especially if you dim half of it, if this is just the values of objects in the light. We'll talk about it that day, but this is a really awesome reference. It's currently available in the Discord community. There's a free Discord and a paid for Discord, which is a good little segue into my next point. If you guys are learning from the community and you want to give back, you can join on Patreon. You can join as $1 patrons. It's really just about how many we can bring in, how many patrons we can that can answer the call to come support the community. It's not about I don't really have that big a goal when it comes to how many patrons I get. My aim is 1,000. It's just a really long shot. But for anyone who wants to give back, who saw this video, who learned from it, $1 a month, if you could pledge that, that's $12 a year, and it's not very little at all if everyone answered the call. It's a very small amount, and together though it accumulates to a big support system. So thank you to everyone who did answer the call, who signed up with their cards, who put in their information, who went through the checkout. I know it could be annoying to try to do all that, but really means a lot when you guys take the time. And that's it for announcements. Portrait Studio did go back up in price, but it's still generally low. I just want to keep it low. It's a very important resource for artists to have, which is why I don't want it to be near 100 anymore, especially during this financial crisis. But it did have to go back up, at least just to even our losses or cut our losses or whatever the term is. All right, let's get started on today's critique hour. So I chose a couple. I'm not really sure which avenue I want to take. This one is about general lighting and silhouette and subsurface scattering. This is an eye study, and this is a color balance composition, color balance / composition. Let me have a quick read of all the comments. Yeah, it is very awful. My whole face is like kind of stiff, and the scab is just, I'm so sorry if that's gross, but yeah, some plants really do suck. You're always getting injured. I know, what the hell. Yikes. Is it possible to get the people you're using now for free? I don't know what you're talking about. I think you're just allergic to life. I think so. Okay, let's get started. So for this piece, I'm actually really confused. It feels like a study that you turned into something else and turned into something else, and I don't know how I muted myself there. I am unmuted, right? Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna make some executive decisions and kind of go from there. I don't think that there's really any audience at all right now for all of this abstraction without any kind of realism to back it up. So when we have abstractions, oh gosh, if I could just remember his name. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. The second I opened Instagram, he had just posted something. That's so awesome. Thank you, God. Instagram. So I didn't even. Anyway, so I am Mote. Where is he? Well, I'm just going to. His name is I am Mote on Instagram. Maybe I could do immote.instagram.com. Okay, it's not working. Well, anyway, so he works in abstraction. Like he paints abstract scenes to take a look, but they're backed by realism. So that's what makes his world of 3D modeling / photo manipulation just phenomenal. It's like the stuff you see when you have like a good high or something. It's not just that, because I feel like, oh, anybody can say, oh, this is a good high, you know, like, oh, drugs, blah blah blah, drugs are cool. No, they're not. It's just what you would see. I feel like it's what you would see if you were to die, you know, like, and go to a good place. So the appealing factor is that it's real. It's sized for us, but something about it is abstract. He has an abstraction to it that is undeniably abstract, but because he delivers it in such a beautiful, sharp body of form and realism, we accept it easier, and we are audience to it, because it is within our world, it is within the realm that we occupy. It feels real. I can go there. I don't know why these goddamn images aren't loading. But his name is I am Mote. I don't know why there's like, it doesn't go straight to Instagram instead. Oh, there we go. Stupid. So here we go. Just I am Mote. Follow him, show him some love, tell him I sent you. And it's this one, it just makes me want to cry. This one is just beautiful, and the ones with the moon, they're so profound, they're so beautiful and unique, and the detail, it's just what this one, oh my lord, you know, like, where do you start? The blue of the walls too, what a touch. And anyway, so have a look at this amazing gallery, get lost in it, have it inspire you, take from it what you can, and show your support to this artist as well. He doesn't even know me. He doesn't even know I exist. I'm just out here showing him some love. But when it comes to a piece like this, I feel like if you drew from that artist's, you know, aesthetic, let's say, for lack of a better word, I'm not crazy about that word, you would be able to kind of really deliver what it is you're trying to go for. That ring of light, the character, the unseen horizon, general abstract size and scale. Is she huge? Is she above the mountains? Is she above the clouds? Are these cloud ranges, or is she in a murky, deep kind of jungle, lush pool? And it's like, is it you know, loss? Is it grief, or is it enlightenment? So when it comes to pieces like this that are not narrative compositions, there's a lot of interpretation. So that's why I'm going to take some liberties and make some choices that I feel like will really help us deliver a more profound, abstract narrative, let's say. So what's happening in the piece is there's just some confusing stuff. I don't know if this is a male or female body. Please pick one. I'm not gonna go there with the non-binary, binary. I don't know what it is. I'm not it's not my world, so I don't know how to refer to it or speak about it. I'm not going to pretend that I know, and I don't feel like I need to make time to go find out how many categories there are of late. It's not my business. It's not my my mission in life, right? So pick one. Just because it feels like you're trying to draw a female, the curvature in the waistline feels feminine. The hair, the features, and the bra, I feel like you just didn't know how to bring the anatomy in. If you were going for a male body or that mix that I referred to, that's your prerogative. But for me, I'm going to pick a gender. I'm going to pick the one that is most on one side, which is the female. The fact that I even have to spend time talking about that is ridiculous. I think when it comes to art education, we need to understand that there are two major genders and narratives, because it's just part of the way we grow. You know, was Frodo male or female? You know, was Gandalf male or female? That's just what I'm talking about when it comes to narratives. So when I'm trying to teach it and I'm being told by these people on the internet that I'm, you know, blaspheming or I'm a bigot or whatever other disgusting word they want to use on anybody these days, I kind of just I just laugh, because I'm literally here teaching distinct anatomical differences between male and female and how to make them read in a painting so that when you mean for female, it looks female. And I hope the artist comments on the video and lets us know what they did intend. Because at times it's reading as male, at times it's reading as female, and if you did want to go for that abstract, and it kind of adds to the story, the fact that they maybe are gender confused or they're embarking on a transition of their own or something like that. That's cool too. But because, again, from where I'm standing as a teacher, it's just, I don't know what the exact spiritual journey is. So who am I to, like, you know, like, what if I did spend time deciding on the gender and the mix of the two genders? Like, what if I did take on and whatever it is, non-binary interpretation of this? What business do I have, right, making two genders into one? I don't even know the artist's original tale or their personal gender journey. So there's only two that I could choose from where I'm standing. Do you understand what I mean? I don't know if they were male into female, female into male, and that goes for every other time I've critiqued a gender and decided on one gender and just, you know, told y'all that I, as a teacher, I'm only here for either. I'm not here for both, because one, I don't know the personal journey and what's happening. And two, I don't care, because it was never my issue. Not that I wouldn't fight for, you know, the rights, or if I see someone getting oppressed, I wouldn't say that's oppression. That's not what I mean by I don't care. It's I don't have the tools and I'm not equipped with the experience, I guess, with the life story that prepared me to be an authority in gender. You know, like, I never did the readings. I never did the research. I don't even know what the categories are these days. So it's like I can't even begin to sound like I know what I'm talking about when it comes to all that gender talk. And the only thing I know when I do talk about it is the difference between male and female bodies. So it's, again, I just want to permanently shut those critics up, because I can't imagine, you know, that there is something to get mad about, but somebody always finds a reason, right? In any case, I'm deciding on female because a lot of the time, even when it comes to male artists, for some reason we choose the female subject. And across history, female subjects have been used to represent emotions, represent gods and goddesses had their own, you know, genders and stuff, like Greek gods and stuff like that. But between Salvador Dali and Alfonso, whatever, they always use the female to represent the muse or represent a time of day or the transition of evening into night. Or, you know, those paintings, have you ever seen those paintings? And so when we're talking about something cerebral, we'll almost always use the female as the subject. The male as the subject is just fine too. I think it's a really, really cool notion to use males nowadays instead of females to represent emotions or more delicate feminine things. But the female body has always been celebrated, and so that's why I teach that as well to my students first, because it's like it's commercially sought after, not just because the female body is beautiful in and of itself. It's like its own universe, but because it's, you know, it's more used, more often, more in demand because of its beauty. So that discussion aside, I hope you understand what I'm talking about. I'm not here after your gender identity, and then I'm not here to delegitimize your personal journey as if I ever had the authority or jurisdiction to do so. You only have as much power as you're given by people, and people have been giving everyone too much power, and that's why everyone's been offended, because everyone assumes everyone's opinion is important enough to offend anyone anyways. So what I'm saying is my opinion shouldn't matter to you in your personal journey. There are two genders, in my opinion, when it comes to art, and students, you should learn both so that you can even mix the two together, so that you can mix the two together to create the androgynous look, and that's why I chose a female today. All right, so before, and what I'm doing is I'm using my smudge brush number 4, and as you can see, I'm getting rid of all of your lines. You had lines that you were disguising as edges, which you didn't really need, and the female body is packed with fat. Even if you're skinny, the female body is packed with fat. And so I'm fixing that part right here. And I feel like they meant to have cleavage, and you can see I blended a little bit extra, really big patches of blending, bringing in some light, shining on the belly button. And I'm doing that. But because the subject is abstract today, that's why I even brought up this whole gender discussion, because I really want to see like what you guys say, where the discussion is. Yeah, female bodies are a little more complicated, yeah. Yeah, the lighting is beautiful in I am what. You can then intentionally mix and express your art however you want with intention. Learn binary for ultimate freedom. Exactly, yeah, learn the rules to break them. That's true. That knowledge will empower you, and hiding behind, too often do I critique, and hiding behind, you know, the fact that, oh, I meant for a mix, is just a bad excuse. It's just a way to exit yourself out of the responsibility of learning the gender. I think your sexuality, though it can be expressed through art, should not hinder your education. Do you know what I mean? And when I sign up with students for the first time, I tell them that we will be studying the differences between the male and female bodies. They exist. The male and female body exists. And there are differences between them. Okay, so we have a little bit of an edge needed there to close off the torso, just because I'm trying to get rid of some of the more male signatures you have here, while still keeping it, like I've seen rock climbers, female, perfectly female, I guess we can say, but have really, really strong bone structure around their shoulders and stuff, so I can keep most of that intact. To make these read as breasts and not pectoral muscles, or maybe you did mean for them to be breasts, you just didn't know how to render it. We just need to represent more light. So what would you do if you were painting a sphere? You would bring in a lot of shadows. So in a new layer, I'm throwing in, and I'm just looking at my navigator to make sure, and that little low bra that you've got there will push the breasts up. Even small breasts can be affected that way. And I'm going to get rid of this. I might add a shadow later. And the reason why I brought this discussion up is because there have been like people who straight up say, I can no longer be a part of this community. Istebrak doesn't believe in other genders. I mean, what? Don't you need the two to begin with as the denomination? I mean, as the primary, and then, you know, the secondary genders are denominations come outside of that? How do I delegitimize a gender without delegitimizing male and female to begin with, you know? So that's why I chose today to kind of discuss it. And breasts are less dense than the rest of the body compared to pectorals, which are all muscle, developed pectorals anyway. And so I push them out. Wait a second. I can still take advantage of this lasso so I keep the edge. And then what I'm going to do is just extend that core shadow there. That way. Don't listen to people who insist you have to be a part of their community, Istebrak. It's a gatekeeping for their clique, and YouTube already has too many of those. I don't... growing up, I never got... believe it or not, I never got peer pressured into anything. I was such a stubborn little shit that nobody could really peer pressure me. That's why I've kind of stood my ground for so long and did what I had to do in life. But I mostly mention this stuff not because I feel peer pressured, but because of others who may feel peer pressured because of this almost aggressive way. It doesn't make any sense to have aggressive a call to peace that is aggressive. It makes no sense. Usually people who want to represent their gender are calling for peace. They're calling for, hey, you know, let us live the way we want to live. And then you've got the childish among them, you know, that want to fight, you know. The youth always want to pick up a fight, and usually the adults of that community are the ones that are wise. Yo, you guys need to relax. Okay, good job on being passionate about what you believe in, but you can't go around terrorizing communities just because they want to teach male and female. It's art, and art reflects life, and there are males and females and people who think they are purely male and purely female in this world, and to try to, you know, change their opinion about themselves, you're just as bad as the ones who tried to change your opinion about yourself. So I feel this like kind of like caution when I pick up a piece like this, and I want to critique the artist and say, hey, this doesn't look female, you drew it wrong. Almost always, without a, like, you know, a hesitation, one of the first comments I get that I have to delete is, how dare you decide on their gender? What if they intended that? What if, oh my Lord. So this time around, I'm not just going to sit quietly. I'm going to preemptively kind of deal with them. So the pattern is lots of soft brush, lots of smudge brush. I gave the breasts some basic form, nothing too extensive. They just look like they're being pushed up, so instead of dragging towards gravity, they're being pushed up against that little bra. So I want to stay with your little fashion, you know, aesthetic here that you got going on, this little small bra doohickey going on, this minimal fashion editorial and practically useless swimsuit. We'll talk about the colors in a second, and the head size and the body size, but before I do, we're just spending some time talking about figures and what it is that makes the female. So I did a lot of talking about that other problem, so now let's talk about what it is that makes females read, and it's just what I've been doing. Even athletic females have a lot of curvature, lots of soft brush, lots of smudging, lots of easy transitions, padded with fat. There was a point where, you know, you stop blending for a male body. I'm going to throw in a little shadow. I don't know if this is the right shadow shape, but I'm going to throw a general representation of it, and that's the beauty of cast shadows, is they don't have to be perfectly accurate to make sense. As long as they're present in the general area they were supposed to represent. So yeah, that doesn't make too much sense, only because the breast doesn't gain its mass on one side more than another. The breast should, oops, do that here. Okay, and the thing is with cast shadows is they're very, very consistent in their rules. Smudge, or blend, blur, and low opacity. So not purely one values. Cast shadows are softened by the light reflecting on the surface on which they are cast. So this surface is getting light, so this cast shadow is lightening up. And you can see how the more accurate we make it towards one gender, the more complete the story feels. It's less like, okay, what's going on with the body? I'm kind of confused, I'm not keeping up. And more, okay, so it's a female and water. What could it be? You know, what's going on? Not that the story might be weakened by an androgynous character, but this particular piece feels like it might need a little help. So we've got the shadow created by the bra as it bridges over and into. It's not so much a shadow, I'm just trying to show that little cave structure in there. So the shoulders are a little strong. And then the shoulders up here are not getting any light. So before I get into any more figure stuff and color correction, we need to talk about composition. You literally drew a ring, a halo around her head, and cut it off at the top. The most interesting part of the composition is right here in the portrait and the bust, and moving down as the sight, you know, the line of sight moves down into the water. But you just cut it off. So I'm gonna collectively just shrink the upper body, including the breasts, and just attach them back. And breast size, see, this is where I stop. You know, I could have made her breasts bigger. If I was a male critique hour host, I probably would have. But that's kind of where I stop when it comes to body standards or body acceptance or shame or all that stuff. I wouldn't intentionally make her breasts bigger just so she reads as female. Do you understand what I'm saying? Big breasts don't make your character look female. It's about body size. It's about the fat distribution. It's about the composition of muscle. It's about the bone structure. It's about the silhouette. That's what a good artist would think about. So that's what I would fix. That's what I would worry about. Right? So that's what you should be thinking of when you study females and males and the differences between the two. How genetically, what are the hormonal differences between the male and the female body? So the color correction I'm going to do right now is just because there's a green sea around her, and I'm just going to match the skin tone you had everywhere around on the skin. I'm not sure why you made her face more pink. It really did nothing for your story. It just added a really awkward pink that did not match the hue of the light environment. Okay, so I just balanced that. I will choose a more pale light environment color in a second. So you as an artist, so let's say you are a gender fluid artist and you want to be hired, and you want your work to be looked at with a bit of, you know, notoriety, respect, and you want to study male and female. It's not, you know, an affront to your ideals as, you know, what you assume is male and female. The world is a spectrum, and male and female is in that spectrum. Concrete male and female is in that spectrum. I'm in that spectrum. Everyone is on that spectrum. So make sure that you guys are setting aside religion. I would say it's something like a religion, and not let it hinder your art. And so just look at them as, you know, the A and the B, or the A and the, you know, the basics, just the concrete differences that'll help you draw a male and a female when an employer needs you to draw a male and a female. So I might have to correct that again. And there are so many gender fluid artists in our community who have accepted that, you know, there's a requirement, at least, to be able to get hired and move forward in your career. There's a requirement for what you need to know as an artist. Imagine being a gender fluid doctor. Are you going to medicate your male and female? You know, it's about your profession and what you need to understand. You're obviously not going to medicate them outside of what they need per their size, scale, weight, gender, sex, let's call it. Same thing here. You're an artist. Learn them so that you can be a little bit more professional, a little bit more skilled. Pushing the breast out just so because, not because I want to enlarge her breast, but because it makes no sense that the breast has no a volume on the silhouette. I'm in an art school where bringing up body differences is worse than summoning Voldemort. That's so unfortunate. That is absolutely crazy, because from a perspective as a teacher, I just think, yo, it's not about their beliefs or their religion or their sexual identity. They just want to draw whatever they want and don't want anyone to critique them. Because there are sensible artists who are gender fluid who don't care if they get critiqued, and, you know, they want to learn the differences and they want to get better. I just think that's so horrible. Can't imagine going to art school and paying all that money and they have to tiptoe. That's terrible. That's the reality of some more liberal private art colleges. It's so liberal, it's almost as strict as a democratic. You know, it's like a muzzle, the kind of muzzle we see in those, you know, pro-lifers and stuff like that. See how much a hypocrisy it is? You go so far liberal, you end up on the other side. Oh, gosh. Anytime you're muzzled, it's automatic fascism. No one should be able to muzzle you. And there are differences, noted differences between the male and female body. But, yeah. So there is a point when the water started to surround the body. And the stomach has a little bit of a protrusion, so that's why I did a little bump there. Oh shit. And then one thing I will do is kind of push the color a little bit more this way. Color. So really push that skin tone to be of one consistent value under the water, and it's just going to be a whatever color mode gives me. So that seems a little too gray. Let me try that green. So you see how your skin tone is actually okay. But under the water, the body gets more and more green. And a little less so towards the top. Thing over here. And I'm just going to copy paste before I did all of that, and then just transition it a little bit more carefully. Right, so she doesn't have to be surrounded by ripples or anything like that. The water seems to be like a surfaceless water. But if you wanted to add ripples, you just have to repeat the patterns that you've got here. She's kind of like pushing the water aside as she walks, this murky surface. And she's got these trails behind her, like that. And you can just adjust them as you need to based off the light source above, so they might be a little bit more bright towards the top or wherever she's not casting shadows. But I feel like just because I want to stick to the original layout of the artist behind this, I'm doing that. Now for the portrait. So you've got stuff that's not reading as female, and then stuff that's just rotation problems. So filter, liquefy. So we've got this really strong brow bone. Female heads are more dome-like, and there's a higher hairline for female heads. Eyes are looking pretty okay for the rotation. Nose is okay, nostril might be a little low, and we're looking at a nose from top down, which we are at the moment on the body. The nostril will come before the nose. Good job on the rotation of the lips. but I would just be careful with that kind of duck lip. Try to give us some more stacking. The upper lip is always just a little bit thinner. And then we've got the Cupid's bow sticking out. So then we can have more of a natural lip and less like a Botoxy lip, which has become all too normal, all too recognizable. It feels like we don't even know what natural lips look like anymore. I don't know, it's so weird. Every time I see like a Kardashian face, I hate talking about them. They just need to go into the ash heap of history. But I just cringe because it's just so unnatural. It's like this really stiff, emotionless, expressionless face. Biggest part about modeling, these girls think they're models, but the biggest part of it is the expressions you bring. The way you move your eyebrows, the way you move your mouth, the way you move your, your lips, and the way you pose as if you're about to say something. Like back in the old days when modeling was, I know the word is overused, but fierce. And I look at those Kardashian faces and I'm just like, they're just stiff. They're not even, a sculpture has more emotion than that. It's because of all those chemicals or whatever the hell they stick in their faces. All right, so you see how I'm showing the stacking, the Cupid's bow sticking out a little bit further, and I'll show you the before. Oops. Before, after. See the lips, just focus on those. You can see how the nose was a little bit as well. See how it's become so normal to have that like fat upper lip? And the hairline looked a little masculine as well, a hairline that kind of pulls up. And it's only pulled up this much because I have ways to go before, it actually looks natural and blended. So I'm going to start blending. And I feel like you did have it's not that you were painting a male, it's that you were, and again, we don't know till the artist confirms it, but it's that you were using a little too seriously these models out there, or the planes, or the how do I describe it? It's like the plates that build up the face. You forgot to blend those out. The surface areas of the face, you just took them way too literally and you forgot to blend them out. All right. So the best way to get a healthy looking hairline, or the good hairline while you draw, is to blend every other over detailed area. So blend, relief, blend, relief. I mean, detail, relief, detail, relief. So relief meaning blending. And you use a large brush to represent that. Hi, Art Late. It's a really weird beauty standard in the world of extreme plastic surgery. Because it was a topic, I hate hair man. What's going on? Too much Cupid bow, harsh jaw, all those male signatures. Also, in general, you got to keep pushing your studies outside of school, since you only know, know your independent needs. Yeah. Planes of the face. Yeah. Just trying to keep up with the conversation here. I don't know what's going on. Okay, I don't know. I can't keep up with y'all. So large brush, brushing up into the hairline will make it look natural. And it's the same with the opposite, brushing down. So her hair is kind of gelled backward. And I really am like going for the full render today, just going for that full thing, because the artists themselves asked some critiques. It's critiques like CRITIQUE, not critics. Critics is a plural of a noun. On the painting would be nice. And I have some problems with understanding when to stop painting. When do you know painting is done, and how to know when to stop? Is being a perfectionist a bad thing? No, it is if it doesn't let you finish your studies or get to your studies. If you're stuck on a painting, if you're on loop, if you're hover rendering because of your perfectionism, it's unhealthy. There's healthy perfectionism and unhealthy. Healthy is the one that makes you think, I'm not good yet, I have more to learn, let me keep moving forward, let me get critiques. Unhealthy is, I'm just gonna keep rendering this until I feel like it looks good, not until someone else feels like it looks good. So you don't know what looks good yet. You need a critique to know where you have mistakes you can't see. Almost all the time we have mistakes we can't see. make sure you get critiques so that you know what it is left to fix. Once you get those critiques and make sure there's no blind spot, render until you have all the edges necessary. You don't know what those are, stop, do some form studies. So do you see where I'm going? You don't know when to stop, really. If you wanted to know, if there's no red light that tells you stop, it's to the best of your ability, stop and get a critique. And if you get tons of, it's only good feedback, but if you get a ton of stuff where you made mistakes and they reveal to you, yo, you need to go to your form studies ASAP, you need to start blending, fix your radial shading, you don't know what to blend, flesh doesn't look like flesh on your painting, this is all like what I would say to this artist here. That is where you go back and do some studies to make sure that you are, you know, up to date with what your skill set is and what you need to work on, and then from there, go back and paint and stop where you feel like you've pushed your limit, and that's where you stop. There's no other gauge for when to stop other than when you're just done with the painting. That's really it. So for me, I stop when I feel like I exercised all the edges I needed to and that I'm ready to move forward. So I gave her some cheekbones and I have to reflect those. I just feel like slicked back hair looks amazing on a face with cheekbones, because you just want to reveal that bone structure by getting rid of any hindrances, which may be the hairline. I feel like that really would help. I like her long face, but I don't like how the chin feels like it's shaved off. The chin would be visible here, and then everything would just roll back from the chin. And then just correcting that bone structure a little bit. So we've got the bone structure sliding into the brow bone above the eyeball for that crease. The crease isn't filled in, it's really mild. So that's why you would need to blend this area out. It's just eyeshadow at the moment. The thing that does define the eyeball in a closed eye is the eyeball itself peeking out of that eye socket shadow. And then you need some bone structure for the brow bone, a thicker start here for the inner brow. But next time I am faced with a critique that I feel like may be fun for Critique Hour and it's an androgynous character, I will just pick the gender that the artist leaned more towards, accidentally or intentionally. Because others are getting from this or learning from this. I'm educating other people, and my audience is not strictly androgynous, non-binary. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. And a lot of the critique choices are based off my tastes as well. You know, I can't really shut my tastes off. For instance, I would kind of cut off her eyebrows and make them a little shorter. Maybe give them that kind of outward growth just so that it looks more sleek. It looks more abstract. It looks more model-esque. Do you see what I'm saying? So this is the kind of stuff I would decide on. I don't want to quiet that stuff too much because it feels like I do bring with my critiques, not only is it physics, but it's just about tastes, art, design, makeup, fashion, other things you may not have considered. I feel like eyebrows with a basic shape and slick back hair and eyebrows that are versus eyebrows that are adding to that silhouette into the temples and all that stuff is still slick, and it's like it creates this really cool line of sight. So a lot of the time I don't really let myself critique and add my taste, but I'll be doing that a lot more. And the eyes are imbalanced. I'm going to give a nice simple shadow to the nose. And simple value here. So yeah, I really am going for like a complete render today, just what I would feel like I need to add. Basic blocking for the cylinders of the mouth. And this eye is way above the other one, so I'm going to flip the piece and just drag it down. And just get them on the same horizontal line at least. No, that's too low. That's fine, I guess. And get those brow bones back up in the same spot. The lips feel like they're fighting against the rotation. Yeah, possibly. Couldn't really tell unless I start flipping for the lips as well. I'll just blend them out, see what emerges. Before I crash and lose all my work, I'm just gonna say feel a crash coming. And now I'm blending. Once I blend, I'll be able to tell like where the issues are, because blending is part of painting lips. You're mostly just blending away all the unnecessary edges, blueprinting. You guys are really confusing planning edges for active functional geometry edges. The planning edges are not the same. They are just outlines. They're still outlines. Geometric edges are what's actually stacking, what's in the way of what has changed its position, what has moved. What surface has rotated. Those are active, geometry edges. So you had a lot of leftover planning edges that you should have gotten rid of. Alright, can't spend too much time on the face because at the end of the day it's just a small part of the illustration. From a distance, I'm going to enlarge my brush and start doing the soft brush plane changes, which is anywhere on the face. Because I'm so late in rendering, I don't want to go back to blocking, so I'm going to block for late game, which is just soft brush, really controlled small brush strokes. Forehead, because it's globular on a female, it needs a shadow on the halfway point, and the light is coming from above. I have to color correct the skin again. It's getting a lot of hair, a lot of light where the hair is. Cheekbones are getting extra white light. Far eye is still bothering me. Feel like it's not really rotating, which means that it's a very simple matter of just drawing the lash line as it sits behind the eyeball. Oops. I think anyway, especially during this time where science is under attack, I think anything that defies science is just dangerous. Anything that tries to silence the sciences, which is the sexes of humans included, is just really scary. It's just so apocalyptic, don't you think? It's so dystopian. It's terrifying when you just see the president of the United States say something like, well, science isn't right, science is wrong. It's like, who are you to supplement the role of science in society? And I'm not afraid of politics. I'm not afraid of discussing politics or being up to date with it, especially if it's so imperative to our lifestyle and where our lives are going in the next 4 years of being an American. Please vote. Please, please, please vote. Stand in line and make sure you're not wearing red or blue or anything that might suggest what you're voting for. You can get kicked out. A lot of people don't know this. If you are representing any party or wearing a fuck Trump shirt or something like that, you can be kicked out of the voting poll location you go to. If you don't know that, now you do. Make sure you wear plain colors. Don't let them take your vote away. Do not vote twice. That is illegal. Vote one way, the way that you need to vote, and make sure that your vote is counted. So don't have any. Don't give them any reason to take your vote away. But try to vote in person as much as you can. Stand in line however long you need. Ask for a day out of work. This is a matter of your freedoms. If you're a United States citizen, please make sure you vote. All right, so we have pretty much finished most of the sculpting for this character. I'm going to start color correcting a little bit more. And you see how zooming out and fixing those molar shadows on the face really, really did help. I'm not going to work too much on the face. It's really just for the sake of the lighting. So now that we corrected most, and see how she looks perfectly female with her athletic body. So take a note of that. It's just a matter of scaling, you know, what the hormones did, testosterone dominance or estrogen dominance, outside of the fact that those are diseases, and I'm not referring to the disease. I'm referring to male or female and what estrogen or what hormone characterizes male and female. How even though you may have a character that is female, you can still make them read as athletic or with masculine quote unquote qualities, just because of the way their body is shaped based off their you know, what they do athletically. So I did sense a crash, and a crash did come. Task manager, please don't crash on me. So it crashed before too. I'm not sure why it did. Oh, it's responding now. It says it's responding now. Is it still crashing? Okay, thank God. I'll just save again. What I'm gonna do is just close Photoshop and just start it. That way, I think it's history states. I think it's, I don't know what it could be, but I'm just gonna open it up again. So when you have the sizes, so the upper body versus lower body, so when you have a size at least that's balanced between upper and lower, it can still read as female, as long as again you're firing on all cylinders when it comes to the stuff that is signature testosterone, meaning large and strong brow bone, strong jaw, thick neck, large upper body, small lower body. Those are the things that make the male read, and then the female is the opposite of that. So small upper body, large lower body, no strength to the brow bone, or very cylindrical, spherical brow bone sliding right up, very curved brow bone, eyebrow, just very baby-esque, but she still looks like an adult female. You know, it doesn't really read as a child. It doesn't read as too cute. She still looks like she matches the body type here. Just a quick block. I do need the before. If anybody, Finn, if you could jump into the history of the Reddit just so you could get me the before, because I lost it in closing my Photoshop. All right, just completing that little pocket there, completing any extra little shadows I may need. I think I lost that bubbling of the breast here. I'm not sure when that happened, but because the breast kind of like seeps over the edge of show the difference in density. Again, another difference between male and female is there's changes in density on the torso. There's just less muscle, more fat, more visceral fat on females. We get big bellies, we get big tushes, we get big everything, unfortunately. All right, so a little shadow for the cylinder of the arm, just a basic quick drop in value, and just blending that out, always checking my navigator, always a little bit of a bounce light coming out of the torso on the arm. I don't know why it's on darken, just like that, and checking my navigator again, and then just closing off the arm that is underwater or missing or what have you. I'm gonna just add it in. Oops. So pieces like this are so fun for me because I really get a chance to show you how I would take this, you know, piece, how I would affect it in my own tastes and style. And because I barely get a chance to mess with realism and abstraction. Usually it's always full-on light environments and stuff like that. So just threw some really, really basic values for the arm. Nothing too extensive, just to show it's at least present behind the body, and then a cast shadow beside it. I mean, we have beneath the water, beside the body. Putting in some really basic values here. And just smudging away. When you use my smudge brush, and if you're curious where they are, they're in my store, istebrak.com. If you use my smudge brush, you should be careful. It's really strong. Make sure you use it on low strength, especially if you're just starting out using that stuff. And I'm gonna start using my smudge brush on the side, a large size, still low strength, just a larger size for areas under the water. And the skin here looks very tacky, right? That's because we need to desaturate anywhere the light touches. Can't be yellow everywhere. Skin is actually very colorless. It's the blood underneath and the light source that brings in all that color. And I'm desaturating anywhere where the light touches, especially on the highlights here. Finally, I'm going to do the thing I love to do, those two key layers I always talk about. Color layer to color balance. I've already done that quite a bit. Alright, and that color can change, so I'm gonna kind of get it to be more yellow. It's not really yellowing, is it? Let's just push it towards green. And then the darken layer. So the darken layer needs to be chosen out of this environment. Alright, on darken. You guys remember what I do with either? I lower this in opacity a great deal, and I lower this in opacity. And the reason I do this is because it really brings the environment down to a specific time of day. The lower you lower the opacity, the brighter the time of day or the environment. But it's still a nice balance. Everything is kind of in the same fog in the world. The reason I did that is because Mr. Artist, or the original artist here, did not address the fact that this is a light source. So I still have a problem with the framing. Your values are still way, I mean your subject is still way pushed off. But now that we have a nice spot, first of all, I'm not sure why you so I'm gonna double this. Merge down. I don't know why you didn't just draw a better sphere, like a better shape. I wonder if I can do something better for that. Just keep it clean, you know. So I'm darkening it. Pushing it so that it looks like it's rotated. Shouldn't be too. Select. Go down to this layer. Delete. And just remove the one you had. You just make it a better shape. You didn't have to freehand something that is geometrically accurate. An architect doesn't freehand straight lines, you know, unless they're like perfect or inhuman. But it's just architecture at this point. You just need to make sure it's a clean shape. All right, and then I feel like I can make it a better shape this way. And then I'm just going to make it into a light source. There are many ways to make it into a light source. First and foremost, it needs to be at the right value. I'm going to saturate it all the way up, make it at the right value. And then every light source glows. Every light source has a bloom to it. So I'm going to lower the opacity. And first I'm going to throw in the general bloom, which is the total bloom of the object. Just using my soft brush, that's why it's so grainy. So this is just outside of the individual halo that surrounds the object. There's two blooms, the general one and the one that surrounds the object, which is the one where you're using a smaller brush and just moving over the object to give it that glow. Try to do it in one brush stroke so you're not layering too much. And because we did all of that, the face will be silhouetted just a touch, so I'm going to use the darken layer to kind of just throw the face in a shadow, which is going to help make this read with a light source. So every artist is different in where they choose to stop, what they think is enough, based off their skill. I don't think a student should be worried about when to stop. I think a student's priorities should be, did I do enough? Did I push my my form knowledge enough? Did I study enough? Am I trying masterpieces too early? That's what a student should be worried about. Not, am I a perfectionist? Am I doing enough masterpieces? Am I, illustrating enough? I think students who are worried about that are missing the point. You're still a student. You're not an illustrator yet. You have no business kind of worrying about the stuff that you're not skilled enough to worry about. I wouldn't burden a student with worrying about, or anyone worried about something that they're not skilled enough to. I wouldn't burden them with that. I wouldn't try to hire someone who has no idea what field. You know what I'm saying? It's the equivalent of that. So a student shouldn't burden themselves. And you shouldn't need a teacher to tell you, yo, you're not ready for this kind of responsibility. Meaning that if you're having this much trouble knowing when to blend your values, maybe an illustration isn't right for you just yet. So the light is kind of moving over and on the shoulders. It's right behind her, so it's kind of hugging her shoulders with her head casting a shadow on her body. Alright, and because this is water all the way around her, we have to make sure the water is reflecting the light as well. Such a fun playground to mess around with today. Thank you for posting. Really, really cool. And really, really fun. And if you guys didn't make mistakes, I wouldn't have anything to teach. So it's kind of all just, it comes full circle. But in any case, that question, shouldn't be worried about it. Rest easy. Just do your studies. Get what you can from these illustrations. Illustrations are great at revealing to us what we don't yet know. Once everything is merged, I'm going to get my dodge tool and I'm just going to decide on what I want to be a little bit more strong. And then from a distance, which is the only way to really gauge it, I'll decide how much is required. And her body is casting a shadow, not letting most of this reflection come through. So it's mostly behind her body that we're getting this. I don't know why it's not selecting. Getting this reflection. It's not magic, it's just balancing, it's just light environment, it's just making sure all the colors speak the same language, it's just deciding on a specific gender so that you have a more concrete story. You're not confusing the physics and the gender at the same time. It's whether or not the artist even knew they were doing that. It's the difference between male and female and the fact that male and female bodies are a scale difference. Write that back to me. It's the distribution of mass difference. So that's the body shadow traveling this way. I feel like it's just a tricky little shadow here. I'm just gonna fake, you know, some physics and just let that do its thing. The murky bits will reflect a little less than the watery bits. So there's a lot going on with mistake making, many layers of mistakes over, you know, the skill set that you had. I'm just blending this out, smudging or blurring this on purpose because the shadow, though that light is really strong, the object receiving it is this almost mossy surface. So that's why I'm not too worried about it being a sharp shadow, I mean. Talking and painting is a skill I have not yet perfected. I'm sorry about my incoherence sometimes. A little sharper at the start. And just kind of bringing that illumination into perspective, kind of compressing it distance a little. Zooming way out. And you can see how we could actually afford to darken even more. It's just a suggestion, you don't have to take it, but I think a dark room is a beautiful thing when combined with this kind of like accent. So we're deleting anything that is part of the illumination and we're just darkening a bit more, so you can see how it's just about that. But if you want that washed out murkiness, that's good too. Might keep some of this back because I think it does add to the murkiness. And then I'll just flatten the whole image and shift it over to blue a little because it feels like it'll read more as water if it's slightly closer to blue-green than green-green. Especially because this light source is so strong a green. And then before I finish off, eyebrows should really be lower to the eye in that perspective. Closer to the eye because we're seeing the forehead first, if you know what I'm saying, and then we're seeing the body, so, or the eyes, and then I'm just gonna clean that up. See how they were kind of to the side as well as not low enough. All right, merge down. And let's look at the before and after. Hopefully my assistants gave it to me. Thank you. Save as. All right, Explorer, you can relax now. You can stop crashing. It's okay. Everything's gonna be okay. All right, thank you. Okay, so this is the before. So you kind of had that confusing body type. I think because of the bra you did intend for a female. You just kind of got lost in the study of the human body, and so you took those planes a little too literally, and you didn't blend because you didn't know how to blend. You see what I'm saying? So you got to learn how to confidently get rid of those planes you worked so hard to learn. I know, but you got to learn how to smudge them out as well after. So we color balance. We made a more, the body's type is still the same. She looks like a climber, you know, she looks strong, like an athlete, like an Athena character. But it was way too confusing. I think the simplicity of the Ayamote account that we looked at today, his name is Mota, I think, is that he just had this beautiful light environment all the time. Everything, the lighting was just so sharp. It was specific to the time of day, etc. It was just so united, right? The colors are united, the bounce light, all of that beautiful stuff. And that's what I'm saying, is that simplicity is physics. Write that back to me. So the large upper body, the bra and the breasts, not really breasting. the strong bone structure at the top, the light source that was not a light source but a halo, just the excessive amount of detail and the shrinking of your brush in areas that were too far from the focal point to be small. Never shrink your brush that far away from the focal point. The fact that you don't even know really what your focal point is. We covered a lot today. We discussed a lot. And if it's not to your taste the way I run these sessions, it's a simple matter of just finding the little X at the top and closing it. I was put on this earth to educate. And I can't properly educate you guys with a muzzle on. And I don't give a rat's ass about any movement or religion or school of thought that chooses to muzzle and limit sciences in any way, starting with Trump. So if you want to attempt to muzzle a group of people or attempt to silence a group of people for your ideals, it sounds way too close to a cult. And there are people who make a cult out of anything. People who make a cult out of the dumbest shit you can think of. What's the best fruit? And they will start worshiping pineapples. I mean, people are crazy. People do all kinds of shit. So even if it's a movement that expresses people's sexual freedom, there's always an idiot in the group that tries to turn it into a religion. So anytime I get comments like that, instant delete, fuck off. I'm not interested in your religion. I'm not going to be you can't recruit me. And I respect, everyone's freedom, everyone's expression of themselves. I think sexuality is a private thing. I'm that type of person. I don't really, I don't really talk about that stuff. So everyone to each his own. But yeah, if you think that at any point in time you can muzzle me or anything like that, or how I educate you, or not allowing me to provide you with this before and after, that you're not going to succeed. It's just not. I was put on this earth to teach, and there's no one on this planet that can stop me. If my evil Puritan parents who didn't believe that art and music were the work of the devil couldn't stop me, you will not stop me. So banana cult forever. So thank you everyone who came and watched today. I really appreciate when you guys show up to the recordings. To the opposite of what I wanted to say. Thank you for those who show up to the live streams. I really appreciate it. I love when you guys come here, when you join in the discussion, when you're a part of this live event that goes down in the recordings. But you guys, were present in this time in history. Thank you so much for sharing that time with me. If you guys are curious how to get your work on my Photoshop on the screen, go to istebrak.com and click on the Reddit icon. And join. I will upload the creepy creature / cute creature Halloween elemental design challenge brief for you by the end of the week, hopefully, if I find some time. Work in my backyard is well underway, and we're all tired and bruised up and messed up, so I might be just too tired to get around to it. That, and plus I'm healing from these horrible fevers and this weird cold from the poison ivy that I got. Even smiling hurts. It's so weird, but I will try my best to get it out. If you are itching to get started on a design challenge, there is one up right now that you have time for. It's due on the 30th of September. It's only because it's going to get busy before October that I want to finish the new challenge and write it and send it up for you guys. I've already announced it pretty much, but on the 1st of October is when we're gonna fully be underway for the next challenge, which is the creature Halloween creature type challenge. I've said the word challenge too many times. That's it. Thank you everyone for watching. I'll see you guys on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern time. If you learned something from today, if you want to give back to the community, $1 a month is all I'm asking. If for everyone here, everyone present, if you feel like you learned something and you want to send support towards the community for its longevity, for its posterity, to keep it independent, agent-free, marketing-free, sponsorship-free, to keep those muzzles away from me, please do join on Patreon. $1 a month is all that I'm asking for. Thank you everyone for coming. I'll see you guys on Thursday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Bye guys.